In this video, I'm going to tell you about the steps to solving for speed, time, and distance in the problems that we're going to be doing in class. So, if I have a car, like the one shown above, and in my problem it tells me that the car travels 20 kilometers in 2 hours, that means that when the car starts and when the car finishes traveling, the distance between those 2 points is 20 kilometers. And the problem also tells us that the time it takes to travel that far is 2 hours. Okay? So how can we use this information to find the speed of the car? Well, there's some really simple steps to doing this. So the first thing, whenever you see one of these problems, you should ask yourself, what is this problem asking me to find? So I can see that the problem is asking me to find the speed of the car. So I'll write speed on the left hand side, and I'm going to abbreviate speed with a lowercase letter s. Okay? And I'm going to put equals question marks because I don't know what the speed of the car is. Alright? And I know that, what else does the problem tell us? The problem tells us that the car travels 20 kilometers. So the distance that the car traveled, we'll abbreviate that little d, is 20 kilometers. Okay? And we know that it took 2 hours for the car to travel that far. So the time it takes to travel 2 hours is 2 hours. All right. Okay, so we've collected all the information the problem has to offer us, and we have found what the problem's asking us to find, and that was the speed. The next step is we need to draw a pyramid that looks something like this, that has 1 block on the top and 2 blocks on the bottom. On the very top of the pyramid, I'm going to write, what am I going to write? I'm going to write D for distance. In the bottom of the pyramid, I'm going to write S for speed and T for time. Okay? So I start solving my problem by writing what I'm looking for, the speed, and an equal sign. Now if I look over to my graph, or my pyramid, I can see that distance is on top and time is on the bottom. So in my problem, I'm going to write distance on top and time on the bottom. Okay? Just like that. And I can solve this problem now by replacing the distance, d, with the distance we collected from the problem, 20 kilometers. And replacing the time that we got from the problem, 2 hours, to get 20 over 2 is 10. And we use the units that we had before, kilometers over hours. So our answer is 10 kilometers per hour. Okay, let's try a different one. Okay, so in this problem, I have a car, and it has a speed of 10 kilometers per hour. And I want to know how far will the car go in 3 hours. So we start by trying to figure out what the problem is asking us to find. So what is the problem asking us to find? Well, whenever we see how far, that means we're looking for distance. Okay? And what does the problem tell us? Well, it tells us that the speed of the car is 10 kilometers per hour. And it tells us that the time the car takes to travel this far is 3 hours. Alright, we draw our pyramid again. With distance on top, time on the bottom, and speed on the bottom. Okay, and we're trying to find distance now. So I look at what's on the bottom, so I see I have speed on the bottom and time on the bottom. So if I write d equals speed t. So they're next to each other in this problem, so I'm going to write them next to each other in the problem over here. And because they're next to each other, that means I'm going to multiply them together. So distance equals, and then I'm going to substitute my speed in, 10 kilometers per hour times our time, which is 3 hours. Alright, and then distance, 10 times 3 is 30. And then I can see that, and then in order for me to find the units, what I need to do is I need to look at what's on the bottom and what's on the top. And if it's the same on the bottom as it is on the top, if I have hours and hours on the bottom, like this, I can cross them out. Okay? And then what I'm left with is going to be my unit for my distance. In this case, kilometers. Okay, let's try one last problem. I know these are going to be challenging, but I'm going to give you lots of practice, so don't worry. Okay, last problem. A car has the speed of 30 kilometers per hour. How much time does it take for the car to travel 10 kilometers? So in this case, the problem is asking us how much time. So I'm going to say time equals question mark. Okay? And what else does the problem tells us? Well, the problem tells us the speed of the car is 30 kilometers per hour. Okay? And the amount of time that the car has to travel is the time during a 10-kilometer trip. So the distance the car travels is 10 kilometers. Okay? So we have our time, our speed, and our distance. So now I draw my pyramid, just like I did before, where I have distance on top, speed on the bottom, and time on the bottom. Okay, in this case I'm looking for time, so I'm going to put time equals, and I have distance given to me in the problem, and speed given to me in the problem. So in this case, distance is on the top, and speed is on the bottom. So I'm going to write distance on top of speed, and that means that I'm going to divide the distance by the speed. So if I have 30 kilometers per hour, and I divide that by the I'm sorry, I did that upside down. Even teachers make mistakes. Okay. Distance is 10 kilometers. And I divide that by our speed, which is 30 kilometers per hour, right? And I get a time equal to 1/3 of an hour, or 0.33 hours if you did it on your calculator. Okay? So, practice hard. I think you'll be able to get it. We'll do lots of practice in class. Don't worry.